The hotel lobbies across the city are packed from morning until late evening. The elevators seem to operate in a perpetual state of motion, never pausing, always carrying someone somewhere important. Every restaurant worth visiting requires a reservation, made days or sometimes weeks in advance. And in gleaming sales offices scattered throughout the city, developers continue to announce the sale of hundreds, sometimes thousands, of luxury apartments within hours of launch. The numbers tell an impressive story. On paper, virtually every major economic indicator confirms the same narrative. Dubai is experiencing an extraordinary boom. The population milestone crossed 4 million residents in 2025, a figure that would have seemed utterly impossible, perhaps even absurd, just 2 decades earlier when the city was still finding its identity. Property prices have experienced a dramatic surge, climbing more than 60% since 2022, making Dubai's real estate market one of the fastest expanding anywhere on the planet. Tourism continues to shatter previous records with remarkable consistency. Over 20 million international visitors arrived in 2024 alone, firmly cementing Dubai's position as one of the most visited cities on Earth. From an external perspective, from the viewpoint of investors studying charts and analysts reviewing quarterly reports, the city appears genuinely unstoppable. The skyline continues its relentless climb upward, with new towers perpetually under construction. The airports remain among the busiest and most connected in the world, serving as crucial hubs linking continents. And the global brand of Dubai, synonymous with luxury, opportunity, ambition, and possibility, appears stronger, more magnetic, and more globally recognized than ever before. But beneath these impressive headlines, beneath the surface-level metrics that dominate news coverage and investor presentations, something quieter, something more subtle, and potentially more significant is happening. The people who actually made Dubai function as a modern city. The engineers who designed the infrastructure, the teachers who educated the next generation, the nurses who staffed the hospitals, the architects who planned the developments, the accountants who managed the books, the project managers who kept everything running on schedule, and the small business owners who created the texture of daily life are quietly leaving. Not in dramatic waves that make international headlines, not with press conferences announcing a mass exodus, but slowly, steadily, consistently, and in growing numbers that only become visible when you look closely at the data. And almost nobody in the mainstream conversation is talking about it. This raises several profound questions that deserve serious examination. Why has the United Arab Emirates gone from being ranked the 90th most expensive place in the world for expatriates in 2013 to climbing all the way to 15th most expensive by 2025? Why are experienced business leaders, people who have invested years or decades building enterprises in the region, openly warning that Dubai risks transforming into something closer to Monaco, a spectacular playground designed primarily for the ultra-wealthy rather than a functional city where ordinary professionals can build sustainable, long-term lives? And perhaps most puzzling of all, why does a city that is technically growing faster than almost any other major urban center on Earth feel to many of the very people who helped build it like it is becoming something fundamentally different from what it once was? This is not a story about economic collapse. In fact, most traditional economic indicators and data points suggest precisely the opposite: robust growth, strong fundamentals, and continued expansion. This is instead a story about something more subtle, something that unfolds gradually enough that it can remain invisible for years, hidden beneath the noise of positive headlines. It is the story of a city built on a very specific deal, a particular social and economic contract, and what happens when the terms of that deal quietly change without formal announcement or public acknowledgement. For hundreds of thousands of people around the world, representing dozens of nationalities and professional backgrounds, that trade-off was perfectly acceptable. The benefits clearly outweighed the limitations. Professionals arrived from India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Lebanon, Egypt, the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, and dozens of other countries. They filled the offices, hospitals, schools, construction sites, government departments, and startups that collectively turned Dubai from an ambitious idea into a genuinely functioning global city. They opened restaurants that gave the city its remarkable culinary diversity, enrolled their children in the international schools that continue to expand every year, and built communities and social networks that made daily life rich and meaningful. Today, approximately 89% of Dubai's total population consists of expatriates, one of the highest percentages of any major city anywhere in the world. And for a remarkably long time, extending across multiple decades, the numbers simply worked. The opportunity was genuine and substantial. The lifestyle was attractive and safe. The financial mathematics were compelling. The deal made complete sense. But recently, over approximately the last 3 to 4 years, the fundamental economics of that original deal have begun to change in ways that are impossible to ignore for those living the reality daily. Over this period, the cost of living in Dubai has risen not gradually, but dramatically, at a pace that has surprised even long-time residents and careful observers. Rental prices alone have increased at a rate few residents anticipated or budgeted for. Apartment rents jumped more than 20% in just 1 year in many areas. Some neighborhoods popular with middle-class professionals have experienced increases exceeding 80% since 2020. A modest one-bedroom apartment in central Dubai, nothing particularly luxurious, can now easily cost more than $2,000 per month, equivalent to or exceeding rental costs in many Western capitals. At the same time, the cost of raising a family in the city has climbed sharply across virtually every category. International school tuition, essential for most expatriate families, can range anywhere from $12,000 to over $100,000 AED per year per child, depending on the school and grade level. Healthcare costs, once relatively manageable, have risen substantially. Health insurance premiums have increased. Daily living expenses, groceries, utilities, transportation, dining out, entertainment have increased across the board, in some cases dramatically. Dubai is now consistently ranked among the most expensive cities in the entire world for expatriates, and definitively the most expensive in the entire Middle East and broader region. Here is the critical problem that is reshaping the experience of middle-class professionals. Salaries are not increasing at anywhere near the same speed as costs. Many companies, facing their own cost pressures and competitive challenges, have kept salary increases minimal or eliminated them entirely. In numerous cases, particularly in certain sectors, companies are simply not budgeting for salary increases at all, implementing formal or informal salary freezes. Even in cases where raises are granted and employees feel fortunate to receive them, the increases often range between just 5 and 10% annually. That might sound reasonable in isolation, but it fundamentally does not keep pace with a 20 or 30% increase in housing costs. For many middle-class professionals, exactly the people who form the backbone of any functioning modern city, the basic mathematics simply no longer works the way it once did. The original equation that made Dubai compelling was elegantly simple. Zero income tax plus affordable living equals genuine opportunity and the ability to save significantly. Today, the tax advantage absolutely still exists and remains valuable, but the affordable living side of the equation is rapidly fading, particularly for families. And when that happens, when the mathematics stop working, the middle class quite rationally begins to reconsider whether the opportunity still justifies the trade-offs, the distance from family, and the permanent impermanence of the arrangement. Yet, the deeper issue, The question that matters most for Dubai's long-term future may not actually be about housing prices at all. It may instead be about the fundamental structure of the city itself and whether that structure remains viable as the city matures. Dubai is unquestionably one of the most international cities anywhere in the world, but it is simultaneously one of the most temporary. Nearly 9 out of 10 residents are not citizens, and for the vast majority of expatriates, regardless of how long they contribute or how deeply they integrate, the path to citizenship remains extremely limited or functionally non-existent. Researchers and urban sociologists sometimes describe this unusual arrangement with a phrase that is both accurate and striking: comfortable transients. People live comfortably, often very comfortably. They build impressive careers and achieve professional success. But they always know, at some level of consciousness, that they may eventually leave, that their presence remains contingent. Dubai becomes a place to work, to succeed, to experience, but not always, not usually, a place to stay forever, to be buried, to have grandchildren remember as home. This creates a unique and potentially fragile dynamic. The deal that built the city is changing, and the real question facing Dubai now is deceptively simple, but profoundly important. What will replace it?